Breaking off the top at 4, wicked weather across southwest Florida, including 2 tornadoes in Charlotte County. Live radar is still very active at this hour. And sheets of rain are hitting Naples hard. This is a live look at Naples, but it is Charlotte County that is seeing the most damage.
We're in a freaking tornado right now.
Holy crap, man!
New video shows relentless wind and rain roaring through Charlotte County this afternoon.
Yeah, the wind so powerful it ripped trees from the ground at the county government building and left gaping holes in roofs and debris all over Port Charlotte.
Emergency officials are warning people to stay inside. You can see why. Here's a live look at I-75 in southern Lee County, where the driving conditions are very dangerous. Wink News is the weather authority with complete team coverage across the area. But we start first with Wink News meteorologist Eric Stone, who continues to track the heavy rain. Eric?
That's right, Bob and Amanda. I want to show you the storm that did spawn those tornadoes.
Breaking team coverage now. You can hear the scream of that wind and rain as it pounded the Deep Creek area of Charlotte County. That's our Wink News reporter Morgan Francis is live. And Morgan, how much damage are you seeing?
One gentleman we spoke to is calling this area Tornado Alley. That's because he says right around 1:30, that's when it ripped through this area. You can see things on the ground like wine bottles, newspapers going all the way through past this SUV that's in front of us. And then beyond it is a house with shingles ripped off the roof. There you can also see on the ground there are signs that have been snapped in half. A lot of garbage out here, but it's hard to imagine pieces of glass flying through. These guys right here are taking a look at the power pole. It is knocked, almost completely snapped in half at the base of it, and the power poles on this road on Rampart Boulevard near Luther Boulevard are leaning almost over this road right here. They cut off initially power to the apartment complex that's over to the left, and it is now back on, but we have seen the chairs from the pool area about 300 yards from where they're supposed to be. So a lot of strong wind. This fence a little bit further down is knocked over all the way around this apartment complex. This is probably the only part that is still standing, this part behind me. Now let's show you some video of a different neighborhood of a gentleman. It's not too far from here. He sent us this video. And the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office was actually blocking off the road to what you're seeing right now. And you can see that the lanai is ripped and there's severe damage to a neighborhood just not too far from here. Here's what the gentleman who took that video told us.
He said that his roof ripped off of his garage and he got water in his house, and some pool cage is gone. Some of his fencing and shrubs are all gone too.
Now right now you can see that they have some power poles over there. It looks like they're getting ready to replace some of them that have snapped off at the base. We will continue to monitor this situation out here on Rampart Boulevard and Luther Boulevard and bring you the latest. Live from Charlotte County, I'm Morgan Francis, Wink News Now.
A lot of damage, Morgan. Thank you. Our breaking team coverage continues from Murdoch Circle in Port Charlotte. That's where Wink News reporter Kristen Sanchez is live with more there. Kristen.
Amanda, I'm standing outside the SunTrust building in Port Charlotte. Now I want to give you a first-hand look at the damage. The wind was so strong it actually ripped off the metal roof from the SunTrust building, and tree limbs are scattered across the parking lot. Now if you take a look at your screen, I want to give you a better look at the roof of the SunTrust building. The metal pieces that you see are actually from the roof. They were scattered across the parking lot. The tornado damage was so severe it set off the automatic alarm. Several trees were ripped up from the ground and thrown into cars. I spoke to a handful of workers moments after they evacuated the SunTrust building. They say they got a warning on their phones letting them know to take shelter for a tornado, but when they came out to see the damage, they say they couldn't believe their eyes. Take a listen to how one woman describes living through the tornado.
It was really scary, actually. We were inside. When the tornado came by, we were in the hallway. We could hear it like rumbling down the windows, but we were away from the windows in a hallway. Pretty secure, we felt, but it was scary for sure.
Now, I just got off the phone with Charlotte EMS minutes ago. They said that the Red Cross is setting up at Station 12 if you need help. But if you don't need to go outside, they're asking the public to please stay indoors while they survey the damage. Reporting live in Charlotte County, Kristen Sanchez, Wink News Now.
All right, Kristen, we hope that everybody's okay. We haven't gotten any reports yet of any injuries. We hope that stays the case. This is a live look now at I-75 in Collier County. This is at Golden Gate Parkway in Naples. Traffic moving along slow here as that heavy rain continues to push through.
And brand new drone video just in shows devastating tornado damage in the Panhandle. This is Pensacola, where large tree limbs were tossed on top of homes and some houses were destroyed. And Governor Rick Scott toured the damage in the Panhandle this afternoon, not long after declaring states of emergency in Santa Rosa and Escambia counties.
There's enough flooding in Charlotte County for a man to use a kayak to get around. This is in the Cape Hayes Peninsula. Some cell phone video of that today. And this is another live look at radar. Still active, and it is expected to stay that way for the next few hours, so keep it right here to Wink News. Remember, you can always track storms on the go and see live radar on our free Wink News weather app. It's available for iPhones and Androids. Just search Wink Weather in the App Store. Now on Wink News at 4, after the storm, Wink News is live across Charlotte County, where the governor will tour this tornado damage in just about 90 minutes.
It was horrendous. It really was. I've never been through this, but I'm grateful that we're okay. That's the main thing.
New at 4, neighbors comparing the nasty scene to Hurricane Charlie.
Out of the game, a Lee County coach once suspended for this vulgar video has suddenly resigned.
And animals abandoned for days. Only Wink News was there as officers raced to rescue pets from this Collier County home.
From Southwest Florida's news leader, this is Wink News, live at 4.
Off the top at 4, first came the ferocious storms. Now comes the exhausting cleanup in Charlotte County. In just about 90 minutes, Governor Rick Scott will tour the damage after a pair of violent tornadoes touched down yesterday. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I'm Amanda Hall.
And I'm Bob Erzik. Wink News with complete team coverage of the aftermath from the air and on the ground. Plus, we're tracking cooler weather in Southwest Florida. We start with Wink News anchor Lois Tomey, who's live in the Deep Creek community of Charlotte County. And Lois, how bad are things there?
Well, Bob and Amanda, you know, it's a beautiful sunny day here, but there is evidence all around us of yesterday's storm. Let me show you the house that we're standing next to. The roof has heavy damage. Virtually every window in this home is blown out, and there's landscaping damage all over the property. The pool is just utter destruction. And if you look down at the neighbors' homes along the way, the lanais are destroyed and there's roof damage. But what's really funny is if you look across the creek in the backyard, there's some tree damage, but the homes next door are virtually untouched. Let's take a different perspective. Let's go to the Wink News drone and give you an aerial view of what's happening in Deep Creek. 36 homes here are damaged. 11 are considered unlivable, and 1 person was hurt in this tornado, this EF1 tornado in Deep Creek. The Red Cross is here to assist people who are living here, and as you mentioned, in about an hour and a half, the governor, the state has taken notice, and the governor will be here to tour this area and check out the damage. Wink News reporter Morgan Francis is going to be with the governor on Padre Lane, and she's been assessing the situation there. Morgan?
Lois, Governor Rick Scott is coming to this street. It's Padre Lane, just a few blocks from where you're standing. On this street, you'll see a lot of the homes with those blue tarps draped over the roofs. Now, he's coming specifically to the house that you see behind me. We talked to the homeowner and he gave us a tour of the damage, and it's extensive. We're hearing a lot of people talk about when they took cover when the tornado came. The couple who lives here says they did not seek shelter. They're lucky they weren't hurt. Insulation painted the rooms in the home. Picture frames and metal from their doors flew off and punched holes in the walls. They too had roof damage. The lanai was torn to shreds. The homeowner told us he hopes Governor Scott can shed light on the importance of taking those tornado warnings seriously.
Nobody likes to, under circumstances when your house is pretty much ruined, that brings, the governor to see you. But again, it'll shed light, I think, on the situation, and in the future, other people will have storm damage too, and it might make people maybe you know, a little more alert, a little more careful, that kind of thing, when they hear a warning.
Governor Scott expects to get here around 5:30. We will be with him and bring you more on what he says about the damage. Live in Charlotte County, I'm Morgan Francis, Wink News Now.
All right, thank you very much, Morgan. You can imagine how overwhelmed some of these people are today as the sun came up on a beautiful day and they had complete damage to their homes. In fact, behind us at the home where there's a blue tarp, there was an insurance inspector on that roof just about 10 minutes ago looking at the damage and helping those homeowners out. Now, Kristen Sanchez is in another area where she is talking to residents about what they're feeling today and how they're picking up the pieces. Kristen?
Lois, so many homes like the one behind me are covered with tarps. There are shingles on the ground, gutters ripped off homes, and insulation floating around. But this community is banding together to help clean up the mess. Now, many of these victims are waiting for estimates on the damage of their home. The county wants to remind all victims to please use licensed contractors. Reporting live in Charlotte County, Kristen Sanchez, Wink News Now. Lois?
All right, thank you very much, Kristen. You know, this isn't the only area of Charlotte County that was hit by a tornado. Along 41 at Murdoch Circle yesterday, there was an EF0 tornado. And today we saw crews out there cleaning up the damage there, picking up all the broken landscape and the broken tree limbs, and fixing and picking up the roofs that were damaged yesterday in that EF0 tornado. There's a lot of work still to be done here in this part of Charlotte County where we are in Deep Creek. But you know, this line of storms has caused all kinds of damage up and down the east coast of the United States. 8 people are dead, and the National Weather Service says 16 tornadoes struck. Stick around, because on Wink News coming up at 4:30, we're going to take you to that area of the country and show you the damage there. Back to you, Amanda and Bob.
All right, Lois, we'll see you at 4:30. Thank you. And as Lois mentioned, a much different story outside today. A live look at downtown Fort Myers where the skies are clear, the sun is shining, but that cool down is coming. We've already cooled off quite a bit.
We sure have. And Wink News is the Weather Authority, and meteorologist Mary Mays is tracking the drop in temperatures. Mary?
Live from Southwest Florida's news leader, this is Wink News at 11.
Terror in Brussels, a new warning just issued by the U.S. government after a pair of deadly attacks in Belgium. And tonight, an all-out manhunt continues for this man who may be behind the bloodshed.
Late night launch, a live look at Cape Canaveral where a very important mission to space will blast off just minutes from now.
Also tonight, some sickening allegations new at 11. This Collier County woman accused of having sex with her dogs and filming it.
Only on Wink News, finally clear water along our coast. One scientist says we dodged a bullet from those Lako water releases. First at 11, brand new fears after a pair of deadly terror attacks in Belgium that sent people running for cover. Late tonight, the State Department issued a travel alert warning Americans about the threat of more violence in Europe.
Thanks for joining us tonight. The Night Beat with complete live team coverage of this tragedy. Jonathan Vigliotti is live in Brussels with the very latest.
The massive manhunt continues for at least one suspect that got away. The attacks come just 4 days after Salah Abdeslam, the only Paris attacker that escaped, was arrested here in Brussels. While in police custody, he warned of more attacks to come. Tonight, the U.S. State Department issuing an advisory, a travel advisory for all of Europe, warning U.S. citizens traveling here to be vigilant. Live in Brussels, Jonathan Vigliotti. Back to you.
Jonathan, thank you. We want to show you another look at the suspect at the center of an intense manhunt tonight. He's seen here wearing light-colored clothes, a hat, and pushing a baggage cart through the Brussels airport. Investigators think he planted a bomb and fled. That bomb didn't go off. Team coverage now. The Night Beat's Christy Gross is live at Southwest Florida International Airport, where we saw heightened security all day. Christy, what's it like now?
Amanda, officers continue to make their rounds tonight, but everything here seems to be back to business as usual here at RSW.
Airport officials want us to remind travelers to report anything that you feel is suspicious. They say if you see something, say something, because it could make all the difference. Live on the Night Beat, Christy Gross, Wink News now.
Christy, thank you. Across America, security is tight and police are on high alert. Officers working overtime at Times Square and throughout New York's subway system. Despite the Brussels attacks, the U.S. government has not raised our terror alert level because of a lack of any credible threats. Closer to home, flags are flying at half-staff throughout Florida, as well as City Hall in downtown Fort Myers.
Let's go live to the White House now, where the American flag is flying at half-staff tonight. They just turned the lights off at the White House outside. President Obama has ordered all American flags at public buildings across America to be flown at half-staff until sunset on Saturday. Wink News will have a team of reporters and producers working these tragic terror attacks overnight. You can get the very latest when you wake up on Wink News this morning, starting at 4:30 a.m.
Breaking right now, live pictures of rocket launch from Cape Canaveral here. Let's listen in as the unmanned Atlas V rocket takes off.
4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff of the Atlas V rocket with Cygnus, with supplies for the crew, experiments for the science.
For launch tonight, the rocket carrying 7,500 pounds of food, supplies, and experiments. It's on its way right now as we speak to the International Space Station. By all accounts, a flawless liftoff. We'll keep our eye on it.
All new tonight, sickening allegations against a Collier County woman. Deputies say she had sex with her dogs and filmed the whole thing. The Night Beat's Christina Lusby live at the Collier County Sheriff's Office with the disturbing details.
Well, this woman's accused of having sexual contact with not one, but 2 dogs. And according to the arrest report, there are pictures and video to prove it. And tonight she is facing 3 counts of sexual contact with an animal. And tonight she is out on bond. Live on Night Beat, Christina Lusby, Wink News now.
Christina, thank you. President Obama will spend the next 2 days in Argentina following his historic trip to Cuba. Today, after addressing the tragedy in Brussels, he attended a baseball game with Cuban President Raul Castro. In a landmark matchup, the Tampa Bay Rays beat the Cuban national team 4-1. This was the first visit by a major league team to the communist country in 17 years. During his trip to Argentina over the next 2 days, the president is hoping to strengthen economic and political ties with the Latin American nation.
New details to the arrest of a former Naples police officer who's accused of molesting 2 underage girls. Wink News pulled the personnel file of Ricardo Vasquez and found he was disciplined multiple times. Supervisors say he was frequently late, forgot his gun at home, and once crashed his patrol car into a cyclist. He resigned after 5 years on the force. A scary scene for firefighters in Bonita Springs this afternoon after this home went up in flames and ammo inside started exploding. Wink News was there on Melanie Lane. Thankfully, nobody was hurt, but the family who lives there now needs to find a new place to stay. Breaking right now, election results are just starting to come in from several states out west, and early results give Hillary Clinton a big lead in Arizona. We're going to have more on that coming up.
And it's a sight we've been waiting to see for months, clear water along our coast. Why one scientist says we may have dodged a bullet with those Lake water releases.
Concern in Cape Coral over this drilling site right next to a school, but what are they drilling for?
And look at this, temperatures above average as we work our way through the afternoon tomorrow all the way into the weekend, but I am tracking some rain. I'll have that full 7-day forecast after the break.
And a scaly sight on a local golf course coming up where this gator on the green had people keeping their distance.
You're watching Wink News at 11, Southwest Florida's most watched 11 o'clock news.